Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Alright, I get it. Remember, we're dealing with legacy autos. They are beyond business. Leave that for desperate, hardworking entrepreneurs. It's far easier just to game the system. It's very simple. The US auto industry is basically a cartel to oppress the competition. Every single auto startup in the US has gone under. The big three, Chrysler, GM and Ford, would oppress them every way. And one of my favourites of those startups was the Tucker. But even the almighty John DeLorean couldn't hack finding a new car business. And he was the ex-CEO of GM. He knew the industry inside and out. He had all the best contacts and funding, and he still failed. It's a shame because the DeLorean was a really cool car, if it was reliable and actually had some performance. And yes, I wish someone would make an electric version of it, or perhaps some sort of Cybertruck-looking coupe. Imagine a Tesla sports car with falcon wing doors and a Cybertruck exoskeleton. Okay, well that's my dream car. Alright, I digress. Anyway, like I was saying, basically the big three game the system. We're all witnessing right now, and of recent, just how far cronyism will get you. The UAW contribute to Biden's campaign. Biden is not a charity. They expect that Biden has their back, just like Obama had GM's back when they went bankrupt. It's a great deal for all of them. As we know, there is something like a 95% correlation between a campaign budget and getting elected. I think Trump was the biggest anomaly ever to this. I think he had something like less than half the budget of Clinton. Therefore, candidates like as big a budget as they can, which is why senators spend an average of 30 hours a week fundraising. You get elected with a budget, not serving people. By the way, I think it was Franklin D. Roosevelt who passed a law banning contributions from unions. The unions got around it though, and instead the union members made the donations. So we've been hearing Biden praise Ford and GM, but not Tesla. Elon didn't contribute to Biden's campaign. So Legacy went in full force to try and stop Tesla, but it didn't work. They were almost going to get a $12,500 rebate off their vehicles, which was ridiculous and unaffordable anyway. So we know the level of ethics these people play at. Well, now they're discovering cronyism isn't going to be enough this time. They need to look at a new strategy to maintain all their wealth and power. Now, it wasn't hard for us to work out where their major headwinds are. If we can work it out, then probably they can too. It's obviously about getting costs down, and they have lots of extra expenses. Probably in the region of $15,000 extra per vehicle compared to Tesla, just because the car dealers, unions and logistics. I didn't even include batteries or any of the other costs of goods sold. Ford is sinking. We know people like Farley and Barra are lying when they say they are aiming for 50% EVs by 23. Of course they're lying. What they're really saying is, to our shareholders, don't you worry, people will actually still be buying our ICE cars even in 2030. Oh, and further on, only 50% by 2030. Yes, our ICE business isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Remember, Tesla is going to be eating their market share. If Tesla is selling 20 million EVs, then that's 20 million less vehicles that Ford, GM, Volkswagen, Toyota, etc. have sold. And if 5 million vehicles of Tesla's production of robotaxis, then that's probably another 20 million replaced as well. These are just lies. Oh, even worse, statistics. No, even worse, lying statistics. The CEOs have to keep their shareholders happy. They believe what they are told. They aren't aware of what's really going on. It's hard to believe, as what Tesla are doing is unbelievable. But in actual truth, these CEOs are going to jump ship. Farley is going to jump ship from Ford to the electric division known as Model E. This will be a separate company solely owned by Ford. As it's a Ford subsidiary, then it is entirely justified that Ford Blue can fund the growth of the Model E startup. Although I really find $50 billion unlikely, I just can't see how they're going to get that much funding. Either way, Ford Blue does have a lot of cash flow and could fund Model E. Now, as Model E is a separate division in a new company, it doesn't hold all the same obligations to the car dealer networks and may be able to get around them. Ford may also decide to not have unionized labor. They need to get costs down. It's about $5,000 per vehicle for unions, whereas stock-based compensation at Tesla is only $1,500, and Tesla stock is worth a lot more than belonging to a union. Then with some logistics tidying and more copying of what Elon is doing, building their new factory plants, which they claim will get their costs down for batteries to $100 a kilowatt hour. This I don't believe, but compared to what they must be paying now, perhaps they can reduce it by half. They must be paying about $20,000 for their battery packs currently. If Ford saved $10,000 there within time, then that is huge. Yup, those numbers look better. Therefore, perhaps Ford Blue can fund Model E long enough until they break even, and then they go their separate ways. Model E floats on the market, whilst Ford's ICE business continues to decline, and obviously it won't take much to send it into some serious losses. Ford Blue will be gone, but all the executives, they jumped from that sinking ship. Model E got everything it needed, whilst all the debt can remain on Ford Blue, and it can just be written off. Loans reneged and will likely be felt in the economy, particularly if all legacy autos have conned onto this. I expect quite soon we might get an announcement from GM about their new Ultium company launching. Now they found their potential lifeboat. But perhaps this new EV division is humble enough to accept Tesla's charging network too, and FSD. If so, then maybe it will have some potential. But look at how valuable Rivian and Lucid became. Perhaps Model E could get PE ratios like that too. Surely that has crossed Ford's minds. If we can sell 2 million EVs and manage to scrape even just $3,000 net profit per car, then that's $6 billion profit a year. If you assign a PE of something like 50 on that, then you get a $300 billion valuation. Don't forget, this will be accompanied with all the hyperbole, the media, and advertising. Oh, and the government, if they're still using unions. Fine, the old company went bust. It was only worth about a quarter what this new one is, though. Now, of course, all these investments and new factories isn't to say that Ford are capable of making EVs any better. EVs are still not legacy autos industry and never were. Just because they have an actual EV business now doesn't mean they know how to build EVs yet. They could have started their own search engine company too, but people wouldn't expect them to compete with Google. Yet people expect that Ford may be able to compete with Tesla. It's like the phone book trying to compete with Google. Their legacy industry has been replaced. They have been creatively destroyed and are now superfluous. Just because Ford's product has 4 wheels and a steering wheel, and so does Tesla's, doesn't mean Ford could learn how to make EVs as well as Tesla. No one, to this date, aside from Tesla, can make an EV right yet. None can hit volume production or profits. Not only that, they aren't even close, and are running out of cash quick. Sure, when Model E floats on the market, it will likely get a further 10 or maybe even $20 billion cash. But Ford have to ramp up quick. They aren't some niche brand like Rivian, who can ramp up slowly with high-end vehicles. The Ford brand has been established, it's mainstream and affordable. Now back to that 2 million EVs a year in 2026. I know, he did really say that, but do you know what? Ford might actually achieve that, because they're increasing their investment all the way to $50 billion. If you throw enough money at it, then it will obviously happen. And that has surely got to be enough money for just about anything. In fact, with a budget like that, you'd think they might want to go and compete with SpaceX as well. Now, 2026 is 4 years away. Okay, well, Tesla is at 1 million deliveries today, not even half of what Ford claimed to be at in 4 years. So how about we check on where Tesla was 4 years ago? Tesla had hit volume production all the way back in 2018. Volume production in 2018 with their own operational battery factory in association with Panasonic. Elon said Tesla are not cash constrained some time ago, implying an additional $50 billion wouldn't make any difference. Did you hear that? Tesla were already at volume production with the Model 3 4 years ago, along with all the other experience with their previous models. From there, it took Tesla 4 more years, with all the best engineers in the world, to hit 1 million units a year. Ford are at about 1/10 the rate of volume production currently. They have no battery factory ready as of yet. In fact, I don't think it's meant to be ready until 2025. Yet they think they can accelerate their production literally, and I do mean literally, 20 times as fast as Tesla. Yes, I said 20. That is what they are claiming. Oh, also, they don't have Elon Musk either. That helps a little bit too. Anyway, I really hope the legacy autos don't get away with this. They deserve to go down with their ship and not be allowed this extra lifeline. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.